Counter-Narrative News, bringing you daily news today on Sunday the 2nd of April 2023. First to Burkina Faso, the military junta there has expelled two French journalists, one from Libération newspaper and the other one from Le Monde. It's been reported they've been expelled back to Paris because they've been reporting on the attacks on innocent civilians in the operations by the military junta, and sometimes in coordination with the racist death squad called Wagner, which is a close military force of Vladimir Putin in Moscow. It's illegal under the military junta in Burkina Faso to criticise anything to do with military operations which have been conducted along with their Russian counterparts in the Wagner racist death squad. So on the one hand, one could possibly see the move by the junta to expel these French journalists as a move against the former colonial power of France and now the neo-colonial power of France. However, it's not in the interests of the masses of Burkina Faso if one can't critique certain military operations that negatively and traumatizes civilian populations there. And also the junta in Burkina Faso has good, strong relations with sectarian supremacist states of the Gulf monarchies. So their posture against so-called supremacist violent militias that are inspired by the same ideology as the states that Burkina Faso junta has relations with. All a bit of a mess over there. Going over to South Africa, the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, a radical socialist anti-colonial grassroots force there, Julius Malema, has interestingly denounced the new bill about to be ratified by Museveni in Uganda against gay people there. Malema says the EFF, without shame, will continue to associate itself with the LGBTQI+ community and oppose their criminalization. And instead, Malema has been arguing for a positive understanding and solidarity with gay communities instead of their criminalization. It's an interesting comment by Julius Malema because literally just a few days ago, he's posturing like the security detail of Putin's arrival in South Africa, Putin being a global homophobic leader, and the Russian anti-gay laws is a model for other homophobic strategies as well. So it's a bit confusing as to understand why Julius Malema navigates politics in the way he does. Going over to Syria, there's been a third strike in nearly as many days by the white supremacist colonial regime in Tel Aviv against Syria. There was an airstrike by Israel on Syria on the 30th and 31st of March, and then in the early hours of today, that's the 2nd of April, there was another one seemingly targeting Iranian infrastructure there. On the part of the Iranian authorities, they have claimed in the last two attacks by the Israelis on their presence in Syria that in the last two cases there's been one respective martyr in each case of which names the Iranians have released. Now, if you look at the situation if you look at the situation in Syria, Israel's military airstrikes, which are increasing in frequency, is basically doing the military strategical work of a joint enterprise of a number of states who are overlapping in a joint strategy in basically removing the Iranian presence. Who are these forces that want to limit and contract and remove the Iranian presence from Syria? It's Turkey, it's Russia, it's China, it's the Gulf monarchies, it's Israel itself, and it's the West. Israel is seeing its opportunity of all of these states arrayed in squeezing Syria, so it's going to take its advantage and increase its bombing rates. And finally, the Guardian newspaper has conducted an interesting project. It's apologized for the founding of the Guardian for being directly involved in the colonial enslavement of African people and the exploitation in the so-called New World. So so the Guardian conducted an investigation in which its founder, John Edward Taylor, who founded the Manchester Guardian in 1821, was involved in the transatlantic slavery, and also 11 other founding businessmen around the newspaper were also involved as well. They were involved in the cotton industry, and now the Guardian is, I mean, it's not a bad thing that obviously this history is coming to light. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing that the victims of these English colonialists, their names are being brought to light. That's a good thing. But also, it's a bit strange, whereas westernized Eurocentric liberals are hand-wringing in this kind of way. It's a form of disempowerment from the grassroots, because in a context where the grassroots are diminishing in their struggles. And then the way that liberals take over these causes continues to push away the grassroots directly and indirectly. And also one has to wonder, okay, the Guardian is posturing with some quote-unquote restorative justice and in investing £100 million in the next decade for community projects across the Caribbean, etc. Okay, but it's all still within the context and within a framework of the colonial capitalist system. And also, perhaps it's cynical, perhaps it's not. The Guardian is a major colonial media institution, and like others and other colonial companies, they seek to repackage themselves, reform themselves, so they're more palatable to global diverse audiences, of which they are dependent increasingly going forward to have any economic viability. So there's some certain problematics there. That's Counter-Narrative News. Please do continue to support us by encouraging your friends and contacts to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at @counter_CNN. Please do have a look around our YouTube channel for an array of different videos on culture, on history, on analysis, on contemporary affairs, on music, etc., etc. We wish you a fantastic day. Thank you.